AI to Go podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the AI to Go podcast. My name is Johannes and we help you turn AI pilots into clear business outcomes. Today's guest is Sanchit Garg, a CEO and co-founder of the sales enablement and coaching platform Zime AI. Welcome, Sanchit. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me here, Jonas. And hi, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining. I'd like to get to know you a little bit first. I saw that you practice meditation on a day-to-day basis. What is one concrete way that practice shows up in how you run your company?
I'm not very reactive on my good days. I mean, I have my own good days and bad days, but on most good days, as a founder of early stage company, I'm a rejection handling machine. Customers, employees, investors, vendors, everybody, right? So how do you not react to all of the circumstances around you, but keep your ground and keep moving forward?
That's important. So you use it as a resilience tool, kind of.
Yeah, it's a resilience tool.
I saw that you also have a behavioral science background. And I would say with your previous company, InnerFit, which was focused on emotional intelligence in the corporate setting, you literally built a behavior change company. What was the moment in your journey that made you obsessed with how hard it is to get humans to actually change their behaviors?
I think what I'm obsessed about are really behaviors. How do I drive behaviors for millions of people and empower them? It's less about how difficult it is. Of course, it's hard, right? We all know going gym is good, but 5% would go to gym. So even we know that it's important, but we don't do it, and that's for everybody, right? But it's more important to understand. Like my insight came from after running my company. It got to $100 million. My first company I started, and then I was wondering like what really adds meaning to my life. Got to a executive coach, learned how to listen, like really listen, not worry about random things. And that was very empowering for me. I realized that growth has to be inside, not outside. Like you can have more money, more growth, but inside is what matters. And that's where I become really passionate about driving this growth for millions of people by empowering behaviors. And for that, I had to like literally learn the science and go into depth.
Yeah. You are also one big proponent of the nudge theory. Now, if I'm a stressed out business leader, can you explain that to me in 30 seconds without any academic language?
Okay, that's a hard challenge. I think the nudge is basically for a stressed out leader, and we are all stressed, right? When we come back home, we want to disconnect from work, do our dinner, have a good chat with a kid, so we are in the present. I think this behavior change requires right time, right information. So when you disconnect from work, let's say you have a small nudge saying, good job. There's a long to-do list pending, but that's okay. Now disconnect and have a good dinner. That's a nudge which comes right information, right time, and gets you to the right thing.
So the right information at the right time,
Yes.
in the right
Yes.
channel.
Yes. Based on your context.
Let's make that practical. Do you have a simple nudge that you use in your own life outside of work that has a good impact on your habits or mental fitness?
Yeah, I mean, I can show you one. I don't know if you can see it, but this is my room. This is my vision board that I built this year. I keep it on my desk. They are small nudges. I'm like learning to put them up. So it tells me like just a small reminder.
What does it tell you? We couldn't see that.
So it basically says that this year, I want to like take my time, do a lot of travel. On the work side, I want to unlock this huge opportunity of context graph with Zyme. And the key things are team, money, and market.
That's great. We've been very vocal that tools should adapt to the company or to the employees, not the other way around. When did you first realize most AI products are actually forcing behavior instead of enabling it?
Yeah, I call a lot of generic AI like a mother-in-law. It keeps telling you what to do, like do this, get this, or like an annoying aunt, or like a nagging boss. The problem is that AI is very good with insights and very confident sounding insights, but they're very generic, and it can spray thousands of insights on you. You have not spoken to this customer for 4 days. Speak now, but they rarely really mean something. Right? This is again not me in my pain looking for those as a rep. So you keep fine tuning these tools to like make it more relevant to your GTM, your behaviors. That the realization is that when I spoke to around 200 plus sales leaders across companies like HP, SonicWall, I realized that all of these sales leaders have clear priorities that their sales team should do: new acquisition, new cross sell, new product. But the change management or the process of driving this consistent winning behaviors across reps is very manual and ad hoc. And they have this generic AI, which is like call recording tool, call insights tools, even intelligence tool. They're all great tools, but they do not understand any of this. What's the new product you're trying to cross sell? How do you message it? How do you handle objections for it? Without this understanding, if you're analyzing the call, then for what? So what now sales leaders do is they try to fine tune these tools. They try to put all this messaging of their products, multiple products. Now imagine so many deal stages, so many different markets against so many competitors. It's virtually impossible to fine tune these tools. GTM is very complex.
It is. Now, sales playbooks and sales coaching have been around forever. You called sales playbooks the graveyard of unused materials. I love that quote. What is fundamentally broken about how companies are trying to get their reps to follow sales strategy?
When I work with these large companies, let's say they launch a new product and now they have to build how to sell it so that their reps can sell it. But this how to sell it is a 6 to 9 month process. They have to first understand what is the product. They have to interview multiple reps who are selling it, understand what's the objection from the prospect, go back to product, marketing team, understand the positioning, put it all together. Then the document has to go for review for everybody. By the time it comes out in 6 to 9 months, the market has moved. The product has moved. It's already outdated on day one. In like 20 years before, I would still read a book and learn from it. Today, we are like all like, we want information like in 2 seconds in Instagram. These learning playbooks have not adapted to our new ways of consuming content. We don't read books. Now we do Instagrams. So neither they are up to date or credible. Reps call them hearsay, nor they are actually the way anybody would learn and do those things. So they become shelfware.
What would you say are the most common lies companies tell themselves about their sales playbook execution today?
It depends on who you ask. Anybody who wrote the playbook is super proud of their playbooks because they have put in so much work. They have put that 6 months of work finding those needles in the haystack of what's the sales play, how to do it. But everybody else fails to see that hard work and they call it hearsay because you can't create these prescriptive guidance at the right depth. You flatten that into some Sandlers or Maddox or some sort of a methodology or some sort of positioning statement, an FAQ PowerPoint, but it's way more complex. I think the lie I'm hearing, the biggest lie I see is that playbooks are the right representation of my winning behaviors. They are not. I've spoken to 200 plus sales leaders. They're all embarrassed. I keep hearing this almost in every call. I'm embarrassed by my product playbooks. That's it's not a representation of what makes you win.
Let's talk about Zime. You already mentioned that you guys look at the shelfware playbooks and you turn them into Zime books. So those are living playbooks with just-in-time actions powered by AI and nudge theory. Now, can you unpack how behavioral science and AI actually work under the hood at Zime?
Yeah. So of course AI and behavioral science will come in, but let me tell you what the top sales teams do today. So whenever they win a deal, they gather the top rep who has won the deal and everybody else in the room. And then the top rep is telling, what did he do? How did he handle the objection against budget, against a competitor, against a feature that was not there? And everybody claps for them and they go back. The expectation is for everybody to remember all of those things and apply. And not just for one deal, right? You are winning so many deals every month. So do this learning for all the one deals. That is again a manual process, right? It doesn't work. That's where AI can come. It can look at all the past historical wins and reason the winning behaviors. Find those needles from the haystack of information of how to position correctly, how to handle an objection correctly, uh, how to save against a competitor. These needles from multiple calls, emails, like thousands of calls, emails, have to be pulled in using AI. It has to reason what are the common patterns in the winning deals versus lost deals. When rep handled objection, did customer responded with commitment, like let's do an NDA, or hesitance, let me noodle internally and come back, right? That's a very common way of deflecting the deal. So you have to understand these behavioral cues to rank the rep behaviors of handling objection, pricing discovery, and then build this new logic of how do you find this needle of winning behavior in the haystack, and then build a living playbook out of these.
So how do you build the haystack in the first place, right? So you mentioned that now it's all pretty much based on anecdotes and human memory, which might be lacking certain information just because people weren't present. That information is very fluid because things change like very dynamically. How do you aggregate that information in the first place?
Yeah. So I mean, the data is there, right? It's in the heads of your top reps. It's in the product manager knows their product very well. It's in the head of your PMM person because they know the positioning marketing very well. And you have to collect all of these distributed, fragmented tribal knowledge and build a new shared brain. So you collect all of the information. You look at all the deals you've won in the past and the recordings of those, the email chains of those. So what happened in those deals? Then you look at marketing content and see what are the battle cards, how do they position things. Those are the hypotheses. Then you say whether these hypotheses actually worked in the one deals or not. If yes, then it's a valid answer. So you collect all of this unstructured tribal knowledge and then put them into a neurosymbolic brain, like a CRO who understands their all the products, competitors, use cases, markets, and they're all connected. So you build an AI that learns all of this from their data and gets ready in 7 days to become like a agentic CRO or agentic brain of the organization.
So the first part, we have the haystack and we have the needles, right? Then
Yes.
how do you integrate nudge theory into that? When we say nudge, what is meant here, right? Are those action items in a CRM today? Are those alerts that you get? Like, how do you nudge sales reps and when?
So once you build the sales brain that understands your winning behaviors, you want to drive adoption. Otherwise, what's the point? Now, adoption is a different beast altogether. If I tell my kid to get me a glass of water, he's 8-year-old, the results are mixed. Sometimes he does, sometimes he does not. So to tell my 250 sales reps to do something is a hard job. It's the same thing like at the gym. I can do trainings, I can do, role plays. It doesn't translate into on the field, on the call sales behaviors. So now let's look at the behavioral science part. You do behaviors when you are nudged right info, right time. I am a salesperson. Before going to a call, I'm always anxious. What do I tell this customer? What happened in the past deals? What objections were left open? How are the top reps in my company close the same objection? What are the other googlies that I've seen in the similar deal stage with similar product, similar competitor, with similar competition, with similar customer size? So that I can be pre-warned about those. And this is what I get. This is what I'm supposed to do the prep before my call. But it's so hard. I cannot go and look at so much data across my playbooks, across so many places. So this is what comes to me as a sales rep before the call. That's enablement in the context of the deal at the right time, right info. That does not make me work harder, but less.
I get like a summary one pager for the respective client, including the persons on the call and what their likely objective is for the call, or like what would I get before?
You will get the prep one pager, but it would be objectives. It would all of the real potential risk areas that are there in similar deals in similar stage. If this customer has left an objection open in the last deal, it will tell you how to handle it in this call. So instead of telling you like a rear view mirror what happened in the past, it's like a GPS telling you what to do next. Go left, go right. And it does so by learning where you are. You're going from Palo Alto to SF on a weekday on a traffic with the full traffic. And you are right now in San Mateo. So it knows your context, but also knows how hundreds of other people in the past few days who have taken the same destination, which route they have got fastest. Knows the best behaviors and then your context and then gives you the best.
And how does it help me in the call, like in the client conversation?
Yeah, I mean, in the client conversation, the tool is available for you to SOS, ask questions and everything. But like I'm talking to you, Jonas, in the call, I don't want somebody to ping me on my phone with nudges because now I'm not looking for it. I am rather wanting to look confident and all omniscient with my customer when I'm talking. And if I look like this and respond, I don't want that. Whether it is a prep note, just in time, post call, deep pipeline reviews in the week, my QBRs, all of these are like very specific use cases where rep has that worry or fear for more information. That's when you put him.
So it's before the call and after the call, after any conversation with the client, you get the prep that you need and you get the right follow-ups. If there are certain objections in the conversation, then the tool also drafts you like a follow-up email that addresses those in case they haven't been fully discussed in the conversation.
Exactly. So it is in my flow of work. Before the call, it gives me prep. After the call, it tells me what are the watch out areas in the call so I can be watchful of those based on where the deals have lost in the past in similar space. Then when I'm writing the email, it fills down the objection by the customer and how to handle them. So when I'm going for my pipeline reviews, it tells me what to tell my manager. When I'm doing my QBR, it helps me there. It's like my own CRO of my company who knows all the art of sales or tacit behaviors of my GTM, sitting with me throughout my day, helping me do what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Now you've enabled the reps, but that's not enough. So you see 30-40% reps getting enabled, doing the right behaviors. But for the rest, you need gamification, you need spiffs, leaderboards, then you need in context role plays so you can practice more. So the whole suite of behavior science that goes around this sales brain to drive adoption.
Is there anything that you are working on right now that also addresses the in-call stress situation?
Yeah, so we have like role plays. Let's say I'm going to this customer call again, same call, and the customer left this objection open last time. So I can do a role play in the context of the deal I'm going for. So the role play agent picks up the personality of the prospect from the last call, picks up the objection that he left, it's left open, and then picks up the handling based on how top reps would handle it in past one deals. And then you can practice it, make sure you remove your hesitancy, get comfortable with the handling, and then go to the call.
That's amazing. Let's talk a bit about transformation stories. What's one client story that made you personally proud and where you felt that, okay, this is why I'm building Zime? And how did that transformation look like?
Yeah, so today, we have a lot of customers. They love us. Versa Networks, SonicWall, HP. There's some of the logos we work with, and I'm super grateful for all the love they have for us. They have seen their reps consistently improving on the winning behaviors on the field. Like in Versa Networks, when we came in, they were saying that we need to improve how we do discovery. Our reps need to be less about the features, but more about the impact outcome for the client. And they did a lot of SKOs to educate their salespeople about these new sales methodologies. But there are different product lines. Some products were being sold for 1 year sales cycle, some for 3 month sales cycle. So they had different urgency, budget. It was such a complex GTM that they had. They couldn't flatten this into a playbook. They had this playbook. Reps would keep calling it hearsay. And they did the SKO done, but adoption none. Problem. So you've done the SKOs, but there's no adoption of the best practices in the actual field. They got us in, we benchmarked, we first built their winning behavior playbook. by analyzing how top reps in the hundreds of deals that have moved forward in the early stage, how were they understanding the urgency, understanding the budgets, understanding the org details, and getting the customer to talk about their ROI, their pain. And once we have these winning behaviors, then we started measuring if the reps are doing it on the call. And we could see only 40% of calls hit them. And then the whole change management started from there. In 3 to 4 months, they could see 80% of the sales calls have these winning behaviors. And that improved their early stage discovery win rate from 8% to 16%. That's
Double.
in their CRM. That's in the CRM. It just double the pipeline. Because if you get the customer to hook early with the clear pain point, clear urgency, the deal of course moves 2x faster and more in the next stage. We saw same results with SonicWall, same with HP. Now these are like clients who are expanding us, they're referring us to more customers, are also all referenceable.
So in that example, you were doubling the win rate, right?
That's the result.
And that's for a specific step or each step in the sales funnel?
That was for the specific early step.
Yeah.
But in SonicWall, we did the same thing for the last step. So they work with a lot of channel partners and they want to get more deal registrations from them. And for that, reps have to create the deal intent, have better rep enablement. So the playbooks are different, but we drove 2x more deal registrations for them.
Incredible. What changes in a sales team when they see that Zime and the not just that they work? Like how would you describe that dynamic?
I think I was talking to this senior sales rep 2 days before, and he says that this is the best tool in their stack. The tool understands them. It understands their language. It understands their competitors, how to win against them, how to position their products. So it's a tool that they love because it's saving their time. They don't have to do prep of 30-40 minutes. It comes to them. They don't have to put up a lot of time to write accurate notes. It does it for them. So by understanding their context. So this they love. We have very high active users on our platform across our clients.
Who's your ideal customer and who should not buy Zime?
Anybody who is happy with their sales team should not buy Zime. And that's typically when you have a 5 to 15, 20 people sales team, you're mostly happy. Or the pain is not so huge because you can bring them in a room, coach them, and that's great. Nothing can replace that. But the moment you are beyond 25, 30 sales reps, you have top 10%, 20% reps who are keeping the light on. And the rest is largely a revolving door. And this is despite you hiring with very stringent hiring process. So it's not that you've hired wrong, it's that enablement has gone wrong. They couldn't learn the art of sales of your organization, your GTM correctly. And no matter how many playbooks you build, playbooks trainings have failed the sales leaders from that perspective.
So teams that are later stage, when you think about startups or large organizations that have a global sales team, between the two of us, I'm sure you have a lot of insights from the work with your clients. What are the top 2 or 3 behaviors that really separate the top reps from the rest? Like what are the winning behaviors?
Yeah, I always call it the art of sales and the science of sales. Art of sales is still generic. It's more like how do you build rapport? How do you show up? How do you listen, echo back? How do you break down the customer problem into the right segments and then put a check mark on all of them? And that's generic. I'm not the best person there, but there's a science of sales also. It's about how do you position your products correctly? How do you talk about your competition and give the answer about handling that objection? This is where I see a lot of variance. I see that like if you're driving, let's say, POC stages, setting up the right POC test cases upfront, setting the right metrics upfront is the biggest indicator of the success of POC. If you are driving deal registrations, understanding the channel partner that you're working with, doing a discovery with them for their needs is the biggest indicator of deal registrations. So of course, depends on the initiative to initiative, the goal you have. but there are definitely some common patterns across.
Absolutely. I can only second that pilot piece, right? So if you're just doing a pilot for the pilot's sake without even talking about success criteria and how you want to evaluate and who are the decision makers, it's going to be difficult to steer and to drive execution on both sides, right? I'm more on the buyer side in most cases, and like having this aligned plan of like what you're trying to accomplish in a pilot is definitely super critical for both sides to determine if the pilot is successful and we should drive this forward.
100%. And a lot of times, we as a seller, we see that they put their own predefined metrics on the POC. That almost never works because each customer is different. They have their own mindset of defining the POC metrics based on their organization, their priorities. So instead of force fitting your metrics of POC, you have to understand what would make it successful for them. And that's the harder part.
When you sell Zime to sales teams, what are the most common objections? Like I could imagine that on the sales team side, they could think that, oh, this is just another tool trying to monitor me, or I don't need that coaching. I can do it myself. How do you handle those objections?
Yeah, so we mostly sell to sales leaders, not to sales reps. And so in our case, sales reps get the product after we have sold most of the time. And they love it because it saves their time, sales reps' time. But for the sales leader, the biggest objection actually it changes every 3 months. The market is so fast.
So interesting. What are the most common objections that you get from a sales leader or CRO if they evaluate Zime?
I think 1 year before the objection would be Gong, but we have Gong. Now we can handle it by saying your Gong is great. It's a great call recording intelligence tool. Use it. But you need a tool to coach your reps that understands your playbooks, your messaging, your GTM, your products, competition. So let us build your up-to-date living playbooks from your historical wins and losses and then drive adoption. So that's where we work with Gong. So that competition is nullified. When it comes against Glean that we have Glean already and it has all the data, I ask them, you can ask a question about what are the top winning behaviors in my early stage deal. The answers are like funny, almost funny. So that's where they understand that it's not a GTM specific knowledge graph. That's what Zyme is. So these are the two main objections, and this is how we go past them.
Interesting. Thanks for sharing. I want to talk a bit about the future of sales and AI. If you had to redesign a CRO's job description for the AI age, what are the bullets that you would add and what are the ones that you would delete?
Wow, that's an interesting question. I think with the new age of AI, worked in last 20 years for CRO, the first principles would be there, but it would be a very different way of running a sales organization in the next 5-10 years. The CROs have to be AI first, AI native CROs now. They have to, and I love when I speak to my customers, CRO of Savers and Networks, Martin, he speaks like, context is important. I need a small language model of Versa Network sales team. So CROs are already gearing up to understand this technology because they know that it can learn their nuances and can drive adoption. I think the new way of how VP of sales will become CROs in the future is going to be very different. They have to understand context. They have to understand context window. They have to understand their GTM complexity, the neurosymbolic brains, and not technically, but conceptually. So they can apply their past principles of selling with this technology to win more.
There's always this tension between sales and marketing teams, right? How do you see sales and marketing alignment shifting when AI now can show in painful detail which messages and behaviors are actually moving deals?
So we saw it firsthand with 5 organizations recently. They all had this sales and marketing because there's no source of truth. So marketing would say, hey, look, we gave high quality leads, but sales guys are not doing a proper discovery or qualifying it.
It's the same
Sales
issue.
guys would say, hey, look, the leads were bad. We did all the best. And then they can pick up, like out of 500 deals, they'll pick up the 3 deals and they will do a postmortem. But depending on the 3 and depending on the biases, you can come to any conclusion. Forget about doing it 500. So when data exposes that, look, these are the winning behaviors for your discovery. And in these calls, sales guys did those. And yet customers did not give a high intensity pain. They're not qualified. Or this is where the sales guys forget to talk about these qualifications, and this is their feedback loop. So suddenly the entire conflict goes away. Because now what you were doing on 3 deals with biases, you're doing it objectively on every deal. That data is like the mirror. There's no need to have a conflict there. Now it's a feedback loop. What marketing needs to improve and what sales needs to improve.
That is objectively right. Do you see any backlash there? So people trying to debate the data, or people just accept the truth?
It's not accept the truth. If the truth is right in front of them, they can pick up, let's say, the feedback is these deals, the sales guys did a great job. And the customer still did not had any pain point or budget. They asked all the second level, third level questions. So the lead is not good. It goes back to marketing. Let's say this is the thing, right? And you're saying 250 leads out of 500 are in this bucket. You can pick up any 250. You will see that sales guy asked those questions. And the customer keeps saying no for them. And then there's no reason to like argue. It's right in front of you. It's the mirror that is there, and you can ask any questions to it.
Rationally, I fully agree, but I think there's also a emotional component. So that might be the other part of the equation, right? So I would agree that the data speaks for itself, but I think people like to debate about things and have their own agenda at times. So I'm not sure if it fully dissolves the tension between marketing and sales.
Well, fully is a loaded word. I would say that like when I do this, 80% of conflicts come down. Now it's not about what's the data and finger pointing. It's more about, hey, look, if the customer has not responded in 2 days, should we remove it from the funnel then, or after 5 calls, or after 5 months? So that those are the most subjective debates that are more like much more like subtle debates than prominent debates.
For the sales team dynamics, if AI makes every deal far more transparent, coachable, and attributable, what do you think is going to happen to the hero rep culture and like to the sales dynamics in a team?
Well, I mean, top sales guys are always top sales guys. They know how to do it right inherently, and they will start on their deals, right? You can always get better. So they will always handle more better objections, and they will keep getting better. But this is a way of enabling and empowering your B players who were actually like great reps in the previous organizations, but they couldn't learn your tested winning behaviors in your organization. They get leveled up. They come near the A players, and that's the winning. That's a winning for us, right? Nobody can take away a top rep's instincts on how to win a deal. They smell the money right, they say the right things, but you can at least bring it to everybody else to empower them for their GTMs.
Let's talk a bit about AI agents. How do you
Yeah.
see the future of human sellers and agentic sellers working together in sales in the future? And what would be more of an agent's job? And what do you think will remain in the realm of humans in the future?
I think I'll answer the question in 2 parts. One, from my experience, what I've learned is the context is most important, whether it is a human seller or an agentic seller. You can't have a same agentic seller or human seller in AWS, Google, and let's say Netflix. I mean, they're all different companies with different GTMs. Their products are different, competition is different, their winning behaviors are different. So without the context, it's all useless. It will never win. It's like a top sales guy you hired on day one who's amazing but does not know your GTM. They cannot win a deal. So whether it's an agentic seller or a human seller, they have to be not paired with AI, which is AI is great, can do some tasks, but they have to be paired with the right context of their GTM. That's the first truth. The second truth is there are parts of sales funnel where humans will keep acing. No buyer will buy a 50K or 100K software from a bot. At least I won't. And I don't intend to sell that way either. This is where the humans would be there. This is more bottom of the funnel, where you have much more context. When you start a sales call, the customer context is very thin. You're just getting to know the customer. This is where you have websites, you have chatbots on the website. And this is where you're already seeing agents coming on the website and doing a lot of selling upfront. And now you have buyer agent because buyers on Perplexity or ChatGPT are asking questions about their vendors. So these buyer agents are interacting to your website agents and getting the answers. So the top of the funnel, which is a thin context, this is what will be taken away by agents. But as you go middle and bottom of the funnel, this is where the context gets so deeper and you will need the human sellers to sell.
Right.
And they both will be empowered with the context, whether it's top of the funnel or the bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. When you think about this traditional sales stack, CRM tools, enablement tools, recording tools, etc., who do you think will still be around in a few years, and how will the future sales stack look like?
None of them will be around. In my hypothesis, the fundamental activity of selling is conversation, selling. This is where you understand what the other person wants and make them see the promise of your offering. This is the fundamental sales activity. Everything else is a facade around it. So what remains is how do you understand this conversation? How do you enable this conversation? And then how do you create reporting for the sales leaders to look at what's happening on the ground? That's where you basically have bypassed all the CRMs and all the enablement and everything else. Today, CRMs are like more of a tool to write data so sales leaders can read. But who is writing the data anymore, right? It's the AI writing the data now. And AI can keep writing the data for some time, but then it can start reporting to the sales leaders directly. So they will remove the CRM at some place. The enablement is more like outside the flow of work, a training classroom kind of a thing. People don't learn that way anymore. The learning content is to adapt to come in the flow of the work as a nudge. Enable the conversation. Right time, right information. So enablement tools are gone. I think what remains is the fundamental activity of selling, and everything around it will be changing.
So the collapse of the sales funnels and the sales stack.
Yeah, I mean, the sales funnel conceptually is still there. You're doing discovery, you're doing POC, but they're all sales conversations gated with the exit criteria. That philosophy is the fundamental unit. It will still hold without the entry into a CRM and then somebody reading from the CRM the reports.
Right. So for the sales funnel, it'll be you have a layer of context or data that
Yes.
feeds the funnel and informs the funnel. And then the funnel might get compressed because the information and the context is much better. The sales cycle overall might shrink. So the time compressed for the sales funnel might be lower, right? Is that something that
Yes.
you already see in practice?
I mean, we see that the win rates are going up. We also see that the sales time gets lower because they're less to and fro with the customer. You start hitting the nail because you come prepared with what are the googlies possible in this call.
Makes sense. When you mentioned agents will be more on the top of the funnel, right? When do you think we would hit the wall of trust? Because people still like to talk to people, right? Assuming that on the buyer side, there are still humans involved. When do you anticipate will be a backlash to humans also being involved on the top level of the funnel?
I don't think, there'll of course be some backlash here and there. There'll be some reports about security breaches, but the speed and the momentum of the way this AI is coming in, it's scary, but this is the wave. I don't think it will stop. We have to be part of this wave. We can't be outside this wave. The momentum is too high and it's happening. Already, I am searching my tools, my vendors on Perplexity before I go and talk to them. So my Perplexity is already talking to the websites of my vendors and feeding me the right information. When I go on the website, there are already chatbots there, doing my initial discovery and get me the meeting with the human salesperson. So already the top layer is more personalized. 10 years before, it was just a static website.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Sanchit. This was fantastic. Where can people learn more about you and Zime?
I would love to talk to all of you. And I'm at sanchit@zime.ai. You will have my LinkedIn and my email ID in the description.
Thank you so much. I learned so much about sales and the future of AI and the whole sales stack. Thanks everyone for listening and watching. That's it for today from AI to Go. Thank you. Bye bye and auf Wiedersehen.
AI to Go podcast.